Welcome to Build by People Leaders podcast, brought to you by Hydra AI, your AI-powered coach for leaders in tech. I'm your host, Daria Rudnik, and this show is for HR and L&D leaders in scale-ups and fast-growing companies, those building real impact from within. If you go to dariarudnik.com, you can download the State of HR in AI Transformation, Industry Analysis and Research 2026. And today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to have it, Ochuko Dasimaka, who is a career strategist, HR leader, and founder of Career Heights Consulting, where she helps professionals land high-paying roles and accelerate their career growth. With over a decade of experience in human resources leadership and an MBA in HR, she specializes in job search strategy, resume transformation, interview mastery, and salary negotiations. She's also the author of Secrets to Getting Your Dream Job and uses her platform to empower professionals to become the CEO of their careers and build lives of impact and financial success. Welcome, Ochuko. Great to have you here.
So glad to be here as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited.
You have an amazing experience, like working for some major brands. Well, tell us about your journey in HR and leadership.
Yeah, so my journey began about 17 years ago. To be honest, I discovered HR, right? When I was a kid, I didn't know much about HR, but it turned out that my first job was in HR. And then I got to learn a bit more about what being a HR person is and the kind of positive impact you can make for the business and also for people as well. So I fell in love with it and kind of made it a career, right? So since then, I've worked for about 4 Fortune 500 companies, began my career working for Shell in oil and gas as a labor relations, employee relations advisor, quickly progressing to become a HR business partner. And then currently, I'm a global HR leader for a company called Tinto. They are the second largest mining company in the world. But I've essentially worked for 4 different industries. So from Shell in oil and gas to Amazon in the tech space to Unilever in manufacturing and now to Rio Tinto in the global mining space, right? But, I've also founded my own company, Career Heights, as well, about 9 years ago now, just really because of my passion to help people get their dream jobs, help people make better career decisions and really be successful in their own career transitions as well. So it's all about empowering the business leaders and also people as well.
That's amazing. I've seen companies and leaders choosing the next role because they're supposed to go that way. They move to leadership roles without really willing to be a leader. And what you do in your career advising is extremely important.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, again, you've been in those amazing major brands, great companies, Fortune 500 companies, and you've experienced mergers and acquisitions and different stages of organizational growth. What's been the most transformative organizational experience for you? What would be the biggest challenge you've had to overcome, like while working in those companies?
I've been through, or I've seen a lot of challenges in my career so far, and I would say one of the things that is the most challenging is always, that part where companies are going through reorganizations, restructurings, and they have to make tough decisions for business growth and development that also impact people as well, right? So that's the part of me as a HR person that is always a challenge. I'm able to successfully help leaders and organizations navigate through that, right? So one example that comes to mind is really in one of my previous organizations where the business was going through a very strategic business transformation. The market was down for the particular products that they were selling. And then the business had to shut down in order for the rest of the company to survive and keep moving and keep thriving. And I had to partner with leaders to be able to, one, make the right decision, but also then communicate the change to employees, because that meant the closing down of a business in order for other businesses to grow and thrive. But that also meant that people's jobs will be impacted as well. And that's livelihood, right? These are people who have been in the company for a very long time, bringing really good skills, great talented people. So the idea was, how do we help them go through this change in a way that they understand, in a way that the people experience is great, even though it's not a great news? How can we help them go through it? How can we help them understand and understand the value in it, but also make sure that they are well taken care of as well? And so I'm really proud of how myself, the leaders, and the business were able to handle this change, because it took a while, right? We had to essentially plan this transition for about 2 to 3 years. So it wasn't just something that we decided and started to act, but we had to make sure that employees understood what the plan was. We had to over communicate. We had to explain the business case and help the employees understand what the business direction is, but also impact for them and how we're going to take care of them. So one of the things that I did with the leaders was develop a people strategy plan. It was more like a plan for closure, but also a plan for successful transitions as well, where myself and the team had to strategically talk with every employee to understand what they wanted out of their career next, right? Did they want to stay with the company? Did they want to move on to something else? Did they want to retire? Do they want to redeploy in other parts of the company? Because we didn't want to lose the talent. These were good people. So it was all about, yes, business is closing, but then how can we help you, right? What's the best path for you, and how do we help you navigate what the future looks like? So we're able to really put in some really good retention strategies in place, right? So, bonuses, pay packets that help them to stay till the end, but also giving them the right career coaches, job search transition help to be able to navigate what the next phase of their career looks like. And we're able to successfully redeploy a lot of those employees who wanted to stay with the company, right? Who had transferable skills to move into other departments. So overall, it was actually a very challenging period, but was also a good learning experience, because at the end of the day, employees were happy. The business was able to do what they needed to do, but then it was a win-win situation at the end of the day, right? And the company is still thriving till now. So that's what I'm,
That
most
is
proud of.
That is a great example, because we've seen companies going through layoffs again, especially when companies growing fast, hiring a lot of people, and then like at some point hitting a ceiling and okay, we cannot hire more people. We need to let some people go. And like what you share is be very transparent and clear about what you do and what your plans.
Yes,
Explain the business case, offer support, personal support. Don't just send people to AI coach or AI bot
exactly.
that will help you find the next job, but like building this personal relationship and helping people
Yes,
out is very important. Thanks for sharing
yes.
the story. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Sometimes in this kind of situations, in this like major transformations or something that's related with people, what I've noticed being a chief people officer myself, some leaders say, okay, that's your job as HR. I don't want to be part
Yes.
of it. I'm not firing people, not always hiring people. How do you make sure like you are actually partnering together?
So there's always a time, right, where leaders kind of push ownership to HR, right, and say, hey, HR is the one that made the decision, or, HR is the cleanup person, go meet HR. I have nothing to do with this, because leaders want to be the good guys, right? They don't want to own such decisions, right? But at the same time, it's a partnership between leaders and human resources. And we essentially help facilitate the execution and also help them make the right decisions as well. But ultimately, the leader owns that decision. And that's why it's important for leaders to involve HR from the beginning, and HR to be in those meetings when those decisions are being made, right? And kind of be there to help craft the narrative, the messaging, but also make sure that there's a clear business case, but also be the voice of people, and to make sure that we help them make the right decision, help them look at this holistically to know what are the ramifications of their decisions, and how can we do it in such a way that the employee experience is also as positive as it can be. I work with my leaders, and I also coach and advise my own HR advisors to say, let's work with the business, right? Let's understand what's happening. Let's help them. Let's make sure they're making the right decisions. Let them have the right data, the metrics, etc., so that when a decision is made, we've essentially considered every possible scenario, deciding based on what we know, but also making sure that people are well taken care of at the end of the day, right? So it's really a partnership. And if we miss that partnership, then things could go wrong, and then they could be finger pointing or blame, right? No, it's that leader. No, it's HR. When we do this holistically, then the outcomes are much better.
Yeah, thanks. What I'm hearing is like be there, be at those meetings, talk to people, ask questions. Why is this? Why
Yes,
that? Bring some
yes,
data. Make sure those decisions are based on data, and then
yes,
it's a collaborative, joint decision, not like something that's owned by HR only or leaders only. Great. That's
exactly.
a great approach to build those partnerships together with leaders and kind of help influence decisions so that they are both
Yes,
business driven but also human in their nature.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, true.
perfect.
For you personally, like going through this 17 plus years HR journey,
Yes.
what's the hardest part of your job?
Oh, Lord. Okay. The hardest part of my job, like I said, is bringing bad news, right? It's not something I like, right? I've had to fire a lot of people in my days so far. The part of my job I love is the coaching, the mentorship, the development, the good parts, right? How to build people up, how to scale organizations, how to help the business improve, make profit so that, everybody could thrive. But then the part where you have to make tough decisions for the good of the culture, to build the right culture, to enforce policies, to make sure that people are treated fairly and consistently. That is the part. It's not fun, but it's something that has to be done as well, right? There have been experiences in my past where I've had to really reshape culture, right? You're trying to build the right culture, but then people are being impacted negatively, especially when there are things like discrimination or racism or harassment and things like that. And you have to reset the culture and help build the right culture, but also enable the leaders as well with the right capabilities to lead in that in the cultural change as well. And so I've had to, for instance, in another role I had, one of the things I was tasked with doing was to really clean house, right? And when I mean clean house, is really making sure that we have the right leaders and removing leaders who essentially might not be the best role models and might not be the right people to drive the positive cultural change. That does lead to terminations, that leads to being holding leaders accountable, making sure that people are treated fairly, making sure that the policy is the policy, right? And all of us are held to that same standard. It's not just this leader doesn't is not responsible, we're going to leave the leaders, but then we're going to also enforce the policy on other people as well. So what I've had to do in those kind of scenarios was to really make sure that we had the right leaders in place to make the right decision to move the culture forward, but also in cases where leaders were violating policy, right, where I discovered things like harassment, discrimination, racism, leaders were held accountable, but also terminated as well. So it's not a fun discussion, but then it helps to make the future better for the company. It helps the employees to see that everybody's treated in the same way. There's consistency, we're being objective, people are treated fairly. And then it also helps with employee engagement as well, because people start feeling like we actually care about them. They feel like, for once, treated as humans and not just disposable or a number, right? And so in that scenario, for instance, after all this work was done, employee engagement increased. We had a better open door policy. Productivity also increased as well because engagement was higher, right? And people could see that we were actually not just saying we wanted a good culture, but we were taking the right steps to make sure that we had a better culture.
If you need a business case for why culture is important, here it is. Like if you improve
Yes,
culture, your engagement rates go higher, your retention, like people stay with the company, they produce better products, your clients are
exactly.
happier. Absolutely amazing. And it is a tough job. How did you identify the leaders who are well suited for this news culture, who need to stay, maybe lead it? What helped you actually identify those leaders?
It's a holistic type of approach, right? Sometimes especially leaders who are currently with the company, you definitely would hear feedback, right? From, people, you would, do surveys, you would check in on their employees as well. You conduct things like skip level meetings, right? With the employees to understand fully what they think about the leader, what's going on. Because what I do as well is walk the floors, right? The plant floors, the factory floors, get to know people, who they are, who their families are, just to build that human connection. So sometimes you just essentially hear things once you walk the floor and get to know the people. They open up, they share. Sometimes they come to your office and tell you, hey, this happened to me. They don't feel afraid to come with their concerns, right? So you really, get this from employee feedback, you get it from their performance. Something that is very important as well is making sure that we do not only reward the what, but the how. right? So every company, should have a set of values, be it integrity, care, courage, curiosity, whatever values are important to enable that business to progress or do well. So every company kind of needs to have that because it's more of the guiding light to say, who do we want to be? Who are we? And how would this help enable us to perform as a business, right? And everybody in the company essentially should be held to those principles, those values that help to build the right culture. It's not about just developing it and having it on the website and saying this is our culture, this is what we're going to live by, but then how do you have to embed it in everything you do, right? In the hiring, in the selection of leaders, in making sure that we're asking the right questions in job interviews to make sure that we can really see or picture these leaders in those roles. There are a couple of things like that, making sure that we are not focused on just results and how you help the company make this money and everything, but then how do you treat people at the same time? Do you care for people? Do you empower them? Are you a leader that is a good coach? So it's a lot of those things, right, that we look at to evaluate, okay, is this person a good leader? Would they be able to drive the right change? Would they be people that employees, right, can also look up to, right, to be that leader as well?
Mm-hmm. That is always a tough question, but it shouldn't be tough. It should be easy. Like, well, this person is bringing money on the table. Like, they are high performing, but they create this
Mhm.
toxic culture, and people are leaving the organizations very soon, as soon as they stop
Exactly.
working with them. And okay, should we tolerate that behavior and kind of get more revenue, or should we just make sure that we like stand to the values that we say we are, that we are
Yes.
aligned with our culture that we want to be? It shouldn't be a choice.
Yeah, it's always a dilemma for senior leadership in times like that. But then the right decision is always to make sure that leaders are held accountable for the how as well, right? They
Mm-hmm.
could be great performers or star performers in terms of delivering results, but then your culture is impacted negatively, right? Employee retention becomes an issue. You start losing your best talent to other companies and competitors because you're not willing to hold leaders accountable to make sure that they're behaving right? They're modeling the right culture. And so ultimately, yes, you may make profit if you keep those leaders, but in the long term, you will suffer. Your business will suffer, you will lose people, and your brand will suffer as well.
So tell about like the positive side, like the development and people development and your business and your book, how you help people grow in their careers.
Yeah, so look, that's something that gets me up every day, right? Just being able to impact people's lives. I've been doing this for quite a while now, right? For 9 years plus now with my business and everything. But then I always get happy when someone sends me a message, on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, say, hey, Ochuko, thank you so much. I got the job and, I'm so happy right now. It just makes me happy. Like I feel very fulfilled that I've been able to help somebody else get a better job, improve in their career, but also their lives are changed holistically, financially, even mentally, right? And then their families, their lives are also changed as well because their ability to provide, but then they also have a more like a happier mom or a happier dad because sometimes a lot of them are not only looking for more money or growth or promotion, but they're looking for work-life balance. They're looking to escape toxic cultures, which I see a lot, and they're looking to escape a toxic boss at the same time, right? So it's always very fulfilling for me. And so what I do under the Career Heights umbrella is essentially help people get their dream jobs, but also not just get the job, but thrive in the job as well. So I do things like making sure that I'm evaluating what they have in terms of their presentation. So is their resume good? Is their LinkedIn good? Do they have a good LinkedIn a cover letter? Do they have the total package to be presentable, to be able to then get the interviews? But then once they get the interviews, how are they interviewing? Do they show or demonstrate confidence in the interview? Are they able to translate an interview into a job offer? Right. And then so I also provide the right coaching, interview coaching to help them get the offer. But at the same time, too, once they get the offer, how do they negotiate their salary? Right? Are they making sure that they are getting the best offer possible? Or are they too shy or nervous to actually ask for what they want and negotiate based on the value they're bringing? So it's things like help making sure that they're making the right decisions and getting the best offer, but also while they're now in the company and employed, how can they thrive? How can they get promoted? How can they keep moving up in their career as well? So those things really make me happy and fulfilled with Career Heights as well. And so far, I've helped over 3,000 clients, right, to make their
Wow.
own job sets transitions and, job transitions and all of that. It's a fulfilling part of my life. And I still get to do that even in my 9 to 5. I still coach people. Obviously, that's for, it's part of my job there, but I also enjoy the coaching and the leadership development and the mentorship that I'm able to offer while I'm in my other role as well.
Yeah. But if we're like truly honest, like being in HR, you do help like try to help people in their career, but it's not always as honest as being an external person helping like
That's true.
renegotiate the salary because at
I know,
that
yeah,
point.
yeah, no. It's a fine line you have to work, right? When you're in the organization or when you're helping people, coaching people, when I'm wearing the hat of a global HR leader in the corporate world, for instance, right? So you cannot say, for instance, hey, you have to ask for more money, you have to, get X amount of salary, but you're also working with the leaders to make sure that you do not also overshoot your budget at the same time. So you would advise, but then you wouldn't I wouldn't. So you have to be careful too, not to then contradict what you know to be true in terms of what the business can offer and what they're able to do financially. So it's a fine line, you have to work there, but obviously you have more liberty under the I have more liberty under the career house umbrella to say, hey, you need to go for this, you need to do this, ask for what you want, because sometimes you don't even know, you're not even privy to what the company can do, but you have some directional knowledge that you can get as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible conversation. Well, thanks for sharing your experience in corporate, your work as a career consultant. My final question is for this part of the conversation. So we'll have more, so stay with us. But for this
Okay.
part of the
Okay.
conversation, my final question is if you could have a magic wand and solve one professional challenge HR or people leaders have, what would that be?
If I could have a magic wand, what I would love to do is essentially change the way certain HR people are perceived by the business, right? I wouldn't say it's the case in every company because companies are different and different leaders have different perceptions about HR people. But I would, speaking for, I would say majority or at least more than 50% is the way HR people are perceived, right? Sometimes we could be perceived as policemen or police people, just enforcers, compliance people, or maybe just, administrative. I only go to HR when it's time to like get paid or check my benefits, things like that. And it's to really make sure that we as HR people and leaders are taken seriously by the business, are invited to the right conversations, are in the right rooms, are sitting at those tables and not fighting to have a seat at those tables so that we can make the right impact and make sure that the business thrives as well and enable the business to be profitable as well. So I think a lot of leaders or business leaders are not able to see the full value of HR or are not able to leverage who we are and what we do in the right way to get the best outcomes. So that's what I would love to change if I had the magic wand.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That resonates a lot. And I hear people say that. And I think it's kind of a two-way street. Like, yes, we want business leaders to recognize that and be more aware of what HR can do and how HR can support their businesses. But like you said, like going out there, having those conversations with leaders, asking meaningful questions, bringing data, kind of influencing leadership decisions. So kind of sometimes, in some way, we'll meet in the middle, and we'll find that true partnership.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's one point I want to emphasize here because and something that I practice as well. So I don't just see myself as a HR person, I see myself as a business person and a business leader at the same time. So I make sure that I embed myself in the business, right? I'm staying with the business, I'm working with the business, I'm in the meetings, I'm part and parcel of the business, and I'm understanding the business, and I'm also making sure that I can speak the business language as well, because those things are important, right? If you want to build trust with the business, if you want to build credibility, if you want to really be able to then start making or enabling strategic decisions or influencing decisions, we as HR people have to invest in one, building the relationships with the leaders, but then to fully understanding the business and being able to understand what are their pain points, right? What keeps them up at night? How can you, help them bring the right solutions? But it takes a while. It takes a while to build the trust, the credibility, and all of that. But it only happens when you actually start learning the business and getting to know the business more, getting to know the leaders, and making sure that they know that you truly care about them as people, but also about the business thriving and doing well. That's where you can make that shift.
Thanks, Ochuko. Well, I'd like to ask you a few personal questions to kind of bring a little
Oh,
more
sure.
fun and get to know
Okay.
you as a person. Some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for them? Okay.
Sure, I'm ready. Okay.
Are you a tea person or a coffee person?
Coffee. I need my coffee. It helps me to kind of be alive every morning. So yes, coffee.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I like dogs. I don't know about cats.
Mhm. Would you rather take a message or a phone call?
Message, because most of the times I'm in meetings and all of that. Message, I can quickly respond and just kind of, say I'll get back to you than doing a phone call.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a singer. I loved Whitney Houston. She's my idol, right? And I was so sad when she died. And I love to sing. It's my passion. And I really wanted to do that when I was younger. That was my dream, actually. I still sing in church and everything, but it's something that I would have loved to do. But I just discovered HR and I still love to do that too.
A person
So,
of many talents.
yes. Thank you.
What's one rule you've broken but don't regret?
One will have broken. So I would say just not waiting to have everything perfect before taking action, right? I'm a believer in just, 80% is okay. You don't have to be, 100% or perfect, just go. Because sometimes we suffer from, I call it analysis paralysis. We overanalyze things, we over scrutinize things, and we don't just move. We don't take action. We don't move, right? So I'm a big believer in taking the action and just fully understanding the consequences of the action, but then being able to course correct or change when you take that action. But you wouldn't know what the outcome will be if you don't take the action. So I don't typically wait to be perfect before, doing things or jumping into projects or initiatives. I just believe in whatever just do it, and then you figure it out as time goes on. As long as it's not about like doing a surgery that's going to kill somebody, everything else, right? You don't have to be 100% ready, in my opinion, to go for your dreams or go for your goals.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good that we're in a podcast for HR, not surgeons. So go for it,
I
even
know,
when you're
right?
not. Probably.
I wouldn't advise that for a surgeon for sure. So, yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Ashok. It was an amazing conversation. We learned so much about how to help leaders go through org transformations, even if it includes layoffs. Be very clear and transparent. Talk about the business case. Try to help people personally, individually, every single one of them. Explain why this is happening. And for HR leaders is go out there, be there with your leaders, bring them data, help them make right people decisions, because if you can't help them, I mean, where would they get their help from? So thanks. That's a great conversation. How people can reach out to you, how people can find you.
Oh, look, people can reach out to me at either Ochuko Dasimaka on LinkedIn by just putting that name on LinkedIn and connecting with me, or they can connect with me on Instagram as well. Career Heights. I have a huge following on Instagram, 105,000 plus followers on Instagram. They can reach out on Instagram or LinkedIn as well, and I'll be happy to connect with you.
Okay, and all of the links are in the notes to this episode, so check them out. Connect with Achuka and follow her Instagram. And if you enjoy this episode, please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the next episodes. Bye.
Thank you so much, Daria. It's a pleasure meeting you. Bye.